Let's talk about childhood trauma today. I'm about to cook my family some dinner. We're having zucchini and squash and probably some loaded mashed potatoes or scallop potatoes. I'm not sure yet, but that's what I'm about to do. But in the midst of that, I was thinking that I wanted to talk about how childhood trauma has affected my life and how I am allowing myself to heal from it. Welcome to my channel, The Business Building Diva, with me, Natasha James, better known as the CEO Speaks. Most people don't realize just how much childhood trauma affects us and shapes who we become as we become adults. You know, when you grow up around dysfunction, constant criticism, instability, emotional neglect, it abuses your mind, your heart, and even your body learn to survive and not thrive. Let me tell you about some of the things that I have recently decided that I was just going to let go. I used to be criticized a lot as a little girl, and I don't think that it was done purposely. I think that it was done as an unconscious. I was a skinny little girl and I had big lips. I had a big nose. I was poor. Like, I was poor to the point of my dad was a drug addict and my mom was a drunk and she didn't have a job. She had 6 kids and she sat on the front porch all the time and drank. So a lot of my family literally kind of just disowned us to a certain extent. And again, I'm going to say that came with not just, it was more or less trying to teach her a lesson that she had to make some choices or make better choices than the ones that she was making. But we were the ones to suffer in the end. Well, as I sit here and I think about all of the things that I dealt with growing up as a child, I'm constantly reminded about who I am and how I actually became the person that I am right now. I see a lot of videos on YouTube about I am XYZ age and I don't have any friends. And I so relate to that because I don't have friends either. I don't know how to I know how to build relationships. I choose not to build relationships. I have a very strong personality. Let's just say that. I am the oldest of 6 and I'm the only girl of 4 and I have not had to share a whole lot. But in that, my mom moved around a lot. Like, we lived on every street in my neighborhood and I didn't grow up with friends. So every time I made friends, it was time to move again. So friendships never lasted for me. I just learned how to actually be by myself. And I am still that way to this day. I have associates. Don't get me wrong. I have tons of associates, but you'll never catch me in a group with the same people over and over again. And as many times as I've tried, I don't know if it's me or if it's my personality or if it's just me not knowing how to conform. But I don't know how to babysit people's feelings. I don't know what it is to, like, I feel like if I ask you something as it pertains to me and my personal growth, I actually want you to give me a real answer. I don't want you to sugarcoat anything and tell me, yeah, it's nice, it's this, it's that, and lie to me. I don't, I guess because I've been lied to for so long, I really want to know the truth. And I don't sugarcoat anything as it pertains to being a friend to people because I feel like you deserve the truth. If you was wrong, you was wrong. If you was right, you was right. And if you need to do something different than what you're doing because what you're doing, the choices that you're making isn't the best choices, you ask. So apparently you want to answer. Well, that's my story about not having friends because I'm going to eventually say something that's going to tick you off and that means you're going to walk away. I'm not, because I've learned to deal with different personalities because you have to deal with mine. And because I'm a counselor, I know how to deal with different personalities. Everybody deserves to be able to be who they are, regardless of what they have. So I choose to not sugarcoat things and give people the true answer. Now, does that always serve me right? No, it doesn't. But I feel like at the end of the day, if I'm the person that's lying to you and you call me a friend, I'm not really a friend. So I've seen these videos around Instagram and YouTube, and I just wanted to touch on that. But that also comes back to being that childhood trauma. All of those things that people told me when I was a child, the things, how I grew up, the moving around, my dad being a drug addict, it affected me in more ways than one. And at 47 years old, I still deal with a lot of it. I have come to the conclusion that I let go what I want to let go, and I hold on to what I want to keep. Fixing relationships that was broken is not a priority of mine. The older I get, I kind of feel like I want to, but then I realized that, you know what, I don't want to have to go back through the trauma again of you not being who I expect you to be. So for an example, I allow you back into my life, and I don't have my tolerance for the unconscious, jokingly, inadvertently conversations that you would want to have with me. Let's just say I have a mole in my face, right? Your mole. Let's just say the conversation is, Tasha, you've just gotten so pretty, but that mole is getting bigger and bigger. I didn't ask you for that. So in my mind, there you go again, trying to find the negatives about me rather than the positives, or you're trying to downplay who I am or what it is that I'm doing. So that conversation isn't going to go over very well for me. So in order for me to not have to deal with that conversation, I would much rather not have to even talk to you, because I kind of already know what kind of person you are. And I choose peace over problems every day. I'm so past having to sit back and be in rooms and places where I feel like I don't belong. And I know that it has nothing to do with me. It's just probably who that person is. But I don't want to be belittled. I don't talk about people. I don't find the negatives about people. And I'm not going to sit and try to make you feel less than I am. So I don't want you to do it to me either. But here recently, just learned to dance, or I am learning to dance. And I made up in my mind that I don't care anymore. But let's just say it's not that I don't care. I've allowed myself to be free of what people think of me to a certain extent. And I had to have this conversation today with a client because we was talking about their anxiety. And I did a little self-disclosure and told them how I deal with my anxiety and how I allow myself to finally let go of some of the things that I have anxiety about. But with that came me using excuses. And I'm not going to tell you that I didn't, because I did. And the excuse is that I held on to it because I did have to prove points. It lets you know it's kind of like this. When you grow up always feeling like you have to prove yourself, you don't want to let anybody be right. So for me, I was told that I was going to have a house full of kids and I was going to be on welfare just like my mom, and probably multiple baby daddies. Well, when I had my first son, the game started. It was, I can't live like this. I got to make sure that I show everybody who told me those things that they were wrong. My son is now 27 years old, and my twins turned 19 today. So I have allowed myself to not feel for all of those years. I had to prove people wrong, meaning that I had to make sure that my children were raised in a way that they were not going to be the people that they said they were. And I did. My son's the electrical engineer. My oldest son is the electrical engineer. My daughter is a biology pre-med major. My twins are both athletes in their college programs. And I feel like I've accomplished but here's the thing. I didn't do it the way people would think that I was not a very strict parent. I wasn't a parent. I allowed my children to be who they were. I created safe spaces for them. I incorporated lots of love. I kept them away from negativity. I kept them in environments that people embrace them to the point where all they know is love. There's nothing that they don't, there's nobody around them that treats them any kind of way but the way that I want them to treat them. If you ever said anything negative about my kids or to my kids or did them something that wasn't to my liking, you'd never see them again. And sometimes I feel like I shouldn't have done that because sometimes I don't think they have any real world experiences. But they're thriving and they're learning and they know love. That's what they know. And they know that life doesn't give, you don't get anything for free, that we've worked hard for everything that we have. So when I think about it, I think about how trauma has taught me to cope with life in the way that, in a negative way, because I didn't know how to live freely. I didn't know how to allow the walls to come down and allow bridges to be made for those that wanted to embrace me in the way that they needed to or wanted to. Like, love is something that my husband loves me, my children loves me. But when I think about the people that around me, the love that they showed me wasn't the love that I wanted to receive. And I just kind of felt like that was some type of verbal, physical abuse in which they showed us in how they treated us. So for me, it just wasn't what the life that I wanted to live or the life that I wanted to allow my children to experience. So I'm just saying that I'm very self-aware about all of the things that have happened in my life and why I do the things that I do. And I make conscious choices on correcting the things that I want to change and things that I don't want to change. I just leave it alone. But I want for those that deal with not knowing why they do things the way they do things is to think back to their childhood. Think about why you do some of the things that you do. I know that I didn't dance in public because everybody would talk about me. Every time I got up to dance with my cousins, it was, look at Tasha, she off beat. She going one way and they going another way. Even in the choir stand, if I was to be swaying or clapping, instead of them correcting me, it was a joke. It was made to be funny. And as a child, we don't realize how harmful that is when we do that to children. It builds insecurities. It really do. And those insecurities go with them. They grow up with those insecurities. So the truth about childhood trauma is that it doesn't stay in childhood. It follows you well into your adulthood. I'm 47 again, and I still deal with my childhood traumas. It has sometimes affected the way I see myself as a person. It has affected the way I work around people. It affected how I parented my children. It sometimes have affected my self-worth. I've always kind of recognized this, and I don't know if it's because of my training as a counselor or if it's because I just recognized it. But either way, it did. And I'm here to tell you that if you see something in your life, in over time, I tell people all the time, here's the thing. We come out of the womb with this imaginary red wagon. And in that red wagon, we start to pick up stuff along the way as we grow up. And it's good stuff and bad stuff. But imagine at 47 years old, how much stuff is in my red wagon right now. And you know, when something gets heavy, it starts to tumble over, right? Well, that's kind of like what happens with childhood trauma. You have to start to allow some of the stuff to fall off. If not, it starts to show up in your facial expressions, your body language, the way you communicate with other people, your defense mechanisms, your ailments, stress, depression, anxiety. And sometimes we don't even know why we are dealing with some of these things. And sometimes we don't even recognize it, but other people do. And we don't realize what it is that's causing these things. And so that's when counseling comes in, because you get to sit down and you get to talk about all of the things that could be or probably have bothered you over time. And that's when you start to heal. You start to become aware of all of the things that you have that have affected you over time, and you start to put a pin on it, and you start to think, you know what, that just may be the reason I don't do anything. I wear red lipstick every day, not faithfully, but I think that's my color of choice right now, because I used to did not wear red lipstick. But people tell me all the time how beautiful my lips are, how pretty my smile is, but I could not see it because I was too concerned with what was told to me as a child about my lips being too big. Well, it took me standing in a mirror multiple times before I actually walked outside of the door to put on that red lipstick and tell myself how beautiful that red lipstick was. So now it's my actual color of choice. Like, I choose to wear red lipstick no matter what it is I'm doing, where I'm going. And I prefer it over the other colors because I think I look good in it now. So when you start to recognize those patterns, life starts to change a little bit. You start to give yourself a choice on what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. Do I want to change this? Do I not want to change this? Am I okay with not being in survival mode anymore? I hate that it took me 47 years to get here, but I think that over time, God gives you grace and his mercies. He tells you when it's time to allow some of that stuff to go. And for me, it was soon as my children became adults and I saw that I had accomplished all of my goals and that my life was not what they said it would be. It was almost like an award for me. I don't know if that's crazy or not, but it was like, you did it, Tasha. You really did it. Not only are you not on welfare, but you have multiple degrees. You have several businesses. You are the generational curse breaker in your family. You are the one that's doing the things that nobody would have ever thought that's doing it. You are the one in your family that makes the most money. Not that matters, but listen, I wasn't supposed to have anything, nothing. And God showed me that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And I live that every day, despite what people said about me. And so I have come to learn how to trust again, set boundaries. I'm learning to receive love without fear. I'm choosing myself over others. I'm no longer overqualified. I'm no longer trying to overcompensate for friendships or trying to make people be more to me than they want to be. I had a real bad problem with people pleasing. I wanted people to like me. Well, now I don't care. I mean, it is what it is. Either you like me or you don't. And here we are. So I have gotten to that point that, I'm good. I'm good. I have accomplished so much in my life that I just don't really feel like I have to do anything. Yeah. The trauma is a part of your story, but it doesn't have to be your whole story. You get to rewrite the ending. So be gentle with yourself. You're not broken. You're just rebuilding. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share, because if this video spoke to you, healing is possible. You're not alone, and you deserve it.